so long as like alchemy.
All right, here we go. Warriors in Denver. Iguodala would return. Livingston would return. No David West, attending the funeral of former teammate Rasul Butler. But you would have the usual suspects in the starting lineup. And looking at this Denver lineup, those three guards, I'm calling Barton as a guard, they're interchangeable. They all can handle, they all can shoot, and it's just today's new NBA of versatility. Early on, it's Clay from deep. And he had 12 of his 16 points in this first quarter. There's the man, Mike Malone. And not only was he really the one responsible for Mark Jackson's defense, to this day, he carries a stack of hustlers in the back of his 98 Lexus. Facts. So like I said, early action for Klay Thompson. This is nothing new. Right now, he makes a nice little read and feeds Zaza under the rim. And you know he's going to wait on him, right? He ain't just going right up. Zaza gets the layup. He did struggle around the rim. And then Jamal Murray gets a Charlie horse, a dead leg. I believe guarding. Take another look at it. Is he guarding? No, he's driving on Steph, and those hurt. But, you know, it was just glad he didn't pull a quad or a hamstring. That'd be much more serious. He would return to the game. But it was Will Barton, and he's one of these confidence guys. Mike Malone realized if he gave him an ultra green light, he would get the best out of Will Barton, and that's what he's done. And he's become a very nice scorer in this league. Here's Za in the paint, just kind of struggling. And who wants the ball? Draymond. I don't like these threes, man. I really did not like the threes Draymond took in this game. And maybe that's because he didn't make any. But it was just the timing of them and the decision-making of them. I didn't like them. Some of the threes, even when the ones he misses, you understand why he took them. And there's the ball movement and the rotation getting sucked in. Denver outshot us from the three-point line in this game. There's Steph. He hit his first two, but then ended up 5 of 12 from downtown. Now, Steve Kerr, he might want to consider banning behind-the-back passes. You're going to see the turnover here, and Steph is really the leader in this. But everybody gets involved with it, and it was just sloppy, and this is how Denver is designed to play. They have long, fast athletes, and you come into Denver in this altitude, and they want to run you off the floor. You can see the sloppy, fast pace, and there's the pull-up. No, it's Harris with the tip, and all these guards are bigger and longer, right? So they're interchangeable. Here's the pressure defense. Steph slips behind Barton for his second one, but he was sped up all night, and like I had said, loose with the handle. I think that these bigger guards bother Steph. Now, he had a decent game, but I have some more theories onto why some of these players and some of the things that's going on with Steph right here. It wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't a great game by his standards. The early timeout from Mike Malone as we storm back. Denver jumped on us early, and then look at this defense here. What I did notice about him was his off-ball defense. Look at his awareness. He comes down, he doubles, he comes back and challenges. So I liked his defensive effort in this game. It was offensively where he kind of struggled with KD, the closeout, a second challenge on the miss. So defensively, you could tell right away they knew they had to play defense or they would be embarrassed in Denver. A lot of hustle, 50-50, loose balls, scraps on the floor, and again, that's by design with Denver. This time we come up with it. It's a 1-on-4, and as if there was any other option. Klay pulls up and wets Jokic in his face. And in a way, it's kind of good that Klay's a first-quarter guy because we know Steph's a second-half player, so it kind of balances itself out. Here's off the curl, the heat check. And he really had it going, but we haven't had that explosion quarter this season from Klay. Barton pulls up, and KD's susceptible to this. Because of his length, he's always going to gap smaller players, and I think they know that. Now watch Draymond here. He's got a mouse in the house, and instead of backing him down, see how he faces up Harris, or is that Murray, and he gets in trouble. But the thing about Draymond is he learns from his mistakes. Later in this game, the same scenario, he's going to back him down and drop step him like a big should on a small. Here we go, defensively, KD with the block and the outlet. Now, here's a little-known fact. Klay and Zaza have a dunk comp. And Klay right there with the slam, I don't know how many steps that was, tied Zaza with the 7th dunk of the season for both of them. There's the lob, and Steph usually gets torched on those back doors. He was aware of the movement of these young guards. And with Klay heat checking in this first quarter, I don't even know if KD took a shot, but he did have 6 assists on the night. None nicer than that wraparound to Zaza for the finish. So JaVale gets in the game early, and you're going to see him get called for this foul. They're battling for position with Jokic. And part of the thing with this with JaVale is he's so long and gangly, he doesn't know how to fight for position without using his long arms. And so he gets called for that way more often than he probably should. You see him get the block there, and here we go out in transition, and then this call happens. And all these calls were made by the same referee, Ben Taylor. out of Middle Tennessee State, fifth-year referee. If you want his social media or his personal phone number, no, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, he had some egregious calls. There he is, number 46. And it was just one of them calls. Like the NBA might want to investigate. Dude, here he is with the travel call on Nick Young. Kerr, I don't know if he gets teed up for this, but you can see it. It was right in front of the bench. It's not like they didn't have a good view of it. And because we've had such issues with the referees, I'm going to start tracking the guys that really seem to give us issues. Ben Taylor is at the top of my list right now. I know there are others, but I mean, there were some suspect calls. Let's take a look at this thing, and the angle doesn't give you that much justice. It might have happened right there. He might have dragged a pivot, but within camera view, that absolutely wasn't trouble. The thing is, he was standing right there. Looney gets into the game, retreats and blocks. Here we go out in transition. Then Klay with the old man finish. Look at him run into the trailing defender and barely gets it over the rim. Now watch Sean. Look at him think about it, and then he's like, all right, I guess I got to take it. But what kind of baffles me is that at this point in Shaun Livingston's career, like how you don't have that corner three. Like, get with the time, Sean. And then he falls asleep. He dives too deep on this help. And this is, when you talk about Warriors pacing themselves, this is one of the biggest factors in pacing themselves is their rotations. They fall asleep off ball, and that's just something you're hopefully not going to see in the playoffs. And this is when KD started to go to work. He was like, all right, y'all, now I'm about to get mines. Trey Lyles, and this has become a real problem. Durant fouls Lyles on the three. He gets 3 free throws. And here comes Daryl Arthur. We went small early on, and I think we were giving too much help to their post players. Jokic, I believe, had 19 on the night. No one else was really scoring from the post, but we were helping too much. Mike Malone and the Nuggets identified Nick Young on defense right away. They had him on Wilson Chandler. You see Moutier with a pull-up jumper. That's a rarity, right? He might be on the trade block, but here's Nick with Chandler, and he doesn't really stand a chance. Wilson Chandler's a nice inside-out, versatile forward, right? Watch Draymond. He's so concerned with Nick Young's defense, he doesn't see the back screen being set on Steph. That's on Draymond to let Steph know that screen's coming, but it's too late. It's an easy dunk all through exploiting Nick Young. Perfect lob to KD on the other end, and it was back and forth. It was an entertaining offensive game. Another play where Steph's awareness off ball was tremendous, right? And some of the sloppiness was Steph moving a little bit slow. You know, he's ready for the break. He's probably a little worn down. But the other aspect of this is Jamal Murray and these young guards. Who do you think's dribble moves they study and try to replicate? Steph Curry's, right? So that gives them an advantage when they're guarding Steph Curry. And I think that there's a little bit of that in play with this next generation of guard. They've watched so much Steph Curry coming up. And it must be the altitude. It must be that thin air, because now Zaza with his 8th dunk of the year, 2 hands, surpassing Klay Thompson, and the bench absolutely loves it. When one of those 2 dunks, that's maybe the most electric the bench gets. Now, the Warriors run this play to start every second half. It's a baseline backdoor cut for KD, and it's very effective. It seems to work every third quarter. More Steph defense. They're going to trap here, and Steph has to realize you can't give the ball to Zaza this far from the basket. He needed to penetrate deeper, putting him at risk, and you just knew it wasn't going to work out. And then to make things worse, they let Murray cruise coast to coast for a layup. So there were definitely some lapses, especially as the game went on. And I think in this particular matchup, that high pick and roll, especially with Jokic out on the floor, they didn't exploit nearly enough. There's no way he can recover out on Steph in that situation. And Durant and Draymond have the best chemistry on the team. I think they're the closest, and I think it shows on the court. Great backdoor cut. Here he is, back down, drop step. That's what you do with a smaller man on you. So Draymond adjusting in the second half, and Mike Malone wants a timeout as it's a double-digit lead. And then look at JaVale on this sequence here. This is the camera view they gave me. This was live action. But look at his energy and just challenging the rim, and again, secure the ball. And then Lyles, look at Lyles in the fetal position. Relax, homie, you got the call. And JaVale, 5 fouls in 6 minutes and 4 blocks. And then he gets beat here. This might have been his most impressive block, though. And so if he would have stayed on the floor, the outcome might have been a little bit different. Klay swings, Steph 3-ball. Now, we saw our bigs getting called for moving screens all night. Watch Jokic. Look at him move and drag and hit Iguodala off Murray for the jumper. No call. And that's frustrating. You got to be consistent with it, and that they were not on this night. Now, here's Klay's first shot attempt, I believe, of the second half. And part of his disappearing act, you got to put on Klay. I understand sometimes he gets forgotten. Steph, KD get going, but he's got to find a way to get some more shots in second halves of games. We went into ISO mode with KD, and he was just punishing him. It's like a 7-foot hoodie Mello in God mode. And then Looney gets cracked right here, and it's ugly. and he's going to lose his front tooth. You see him grab his mouth. I spoke about this in the first take video, right? That hurts, man, when you, especially the front chipper. And it was funny. Watch how quickly he runs when they say he found his tooth. They're like, Looney, we found it. Look at him. He's like, oh, let me get it. And then Draymond kept talking to him because he wanted to see it. He wouldn't open his mouth, and Draymond finally gets him to see it. And he's like, oh, damn, okay. So Damian Jones comes in the fourth quarter with Looney getting that tooth, I don't know what, in the back. And right away, the moving screen call on Damian. The same moving screen that Jokic just said about 2 minutes ago gets called on the youngster. And there were about 3 quick fouls that really backed off the aggression of Golden State's defense to start this fourth quarter because they were inching towards the penalty with 2 minutes into the quarter. But look at Damian, switches hips, be big. Livingston helps on the rip down. And Iguodala was in the game in the fourth but would not finish it. Now, my Damian Jones conspiracy theory, go check out the first take video if you haven't on my thoughts on Damian Jones and why we haven't seen him. KD, more ISO, and then look at him move like he's 6'2". Look at this finish. Got cracked on the arm as well. Look at him, let him know about it, but Golden State would not get one call to end this game. It's just the way it was. Now, Iguodala played 21 minutes. This was one of his 4 shots, a pull-up 3. And that looked good. It's interesting because he finally hits a 3, and then Kerr takes him out to finish the game. Now, young Damian looks a little different in this pick-and-roll switch than, say, Zaza, right? He comes over, helps, and cleans that up at about the square on the backboard, flashing the glimpses of potential. Why haven't we seen this kid? I mean, just even in spurt minutes. And then Draymond Green, I hate this. Flat-footed and contested. You might as well just hand the ball to the other team rather than taking that shot. I don't know why he forced a couple of these down the stretch. KD gets the ISO on Jokic, and this is too easy. Like I said, if Malone was going to leave him out on the floor, I don't know why they don't run a pick and roll and get that switch every time down the floor. Overthinking things. Harris gets fouled on a three-point shot. And there are 3 culprits that continually do this. Durant, Livingston, and David West. All 3 of them are the guys that always foul three-point shooters. It's something that kind of needs to be addressed heading into the playoffs. And then the big boy finish from KD. That looked like prime Shaq hanging on the rim. Watch your head, boy. Now watch Iguodala not switch here with Livingston. He gets beat back door, and maybe that's why Iguodala got taken out in this fourth quarter. It was, if he's not going to give us the defense we're accustomed to, we know offensively he really sucks in the space for this pick and roll that we want to run. And we're going to go here to KD, and then this is another 3 from Draymond. Again, his decision-making at the end of this game really hurt us. Why is he taking that shot? And you could tell he had his mind made up before he caught it that he was going to take it, and I just don't understand why. Now, let me explain something about Steph. He's loose with the ball in part because he's such a good shooter. He's always ready to shoot, and so that's why he's kind of upright and loose with the ball, and it costs him at times. There's just a non-forced turnover. Clay out in transition, and Nick Young in there. Like I said, Ig is sitting, and he gets the drunken style finish at the rim, and he always falls down. And I hate that as a coach because he's taken out of the play in transition with a fast team like Denver, and right away he opens up his hips in the pearly gates for Will Barton, who gets the floater over KD. Here we go, pick and roll, and look at the decisiveness in the attack from Draymond. Indecision within a pick and roll, both offensively and defensively, is going to determine how effective it is run. Here's the big, that's just a great challenge, but what do they say? The team that's playing harder is going to get the bounce of the ball, and Jokic gets the wide open 3 off that with the lucky bounce of the ball. And here we go. We need a defensive stop. Look at these rotations. This was a great defensive sequence at the end of the game. Look at the challenges, the effort in the rotation. Down 4 with a minute left. They had to get a stop, so they get it. Now, the devil's in the details. Indecision. Draymond is indecisive off this screen and roll, right? The play is immediately to Clay, but watch Steph not seal Harris for that pass there. So there's plenty of blame to go around in the execution at the end of this game. One last chance. They double KD as they should. And yes, the better option is Steph with Jokic out on him closing, but you can't blame Nick Young for that shot. That's why he's in the NBA, so you know he's going to take it. And you know he was fouled because Nick never talks to the ref. But again, we didn't get any calls down the stretch of this game. It's not surprising. And after some free throws and trying to extend the game, Denver secures the victory, and this team is legit, man. I don't think they're going to stay in the 8th seed. I talked about that, but this is a team that we possibly will have to see, and I absolutely do not want to have to travel to Denver for any playoff series, man. It's not that they'll beat us. It's the juice that it'll take out of the team playing at that speed and altitude. But hey, what's the rule with the Steve Kerr era Warriors? They never lose back-to-back games, right? So what's that next game? Oh, yeah, that's OKC at Oracle Tuesday night. I'm out, y'all.